Hey, what's up, fellow post-apocalyptic survivors, and welcome to a Nerdy Bunch weekly review for Apple TV series Silo. My name's Dave, and joining me from the way down deep is my host, Andrew. Are you out of breath with all the stairs?
I am. If anybody sees the sweat, it's because I've been walking down about 500 steps all the way down to the deep. So,
while you're doing that,
it.
did you
What's
do
up,
your
David?
homework and let me know how many stairs between each floor, or did you forget?
So I've been counting. No, I thought about it when I walked. I went from 122 to 55, and I was like, wait, I'm meant to be counting. So I forgot, but I remembered that I forgot.
So you have to do it all over again. Well, you have till next week to let me know. We have to find out. We have to know how many stairs. And it might be a case, is it an even number of stairs between each floors, or some floors have, 50, and some floors have 55. I don't know.
Right.
We'll never know.
That's why they're also fit. Because like in this episode, somebody was running down the stairs, and I was like, I feel so bad for you guys.
We're here to talk episode 6 of season 2, titled Barricades. Bernard enacts a plan to root out Knox, Shirley, and Walker. Billings takes a stand, and Solo saves Julia's life and wants something in return. Andrew, spoiler-free, what did you think of this episode?
Season's ramping up for sure. Ramped up. What am I saying? Ramping. It's clear that, I think we're approaching the end game now for sure. I feel like everything that happened was kind of pivotal to pushing us towards the final act, right? It didn't feel like there was a lot of, didn't feel like there was any like wasted action or like just random occurrences. Everything kind of had some punch and weight to it. We get a lot of our Silo. I'll say that, not a spoiler. It's predominantly our Silo. But even the slice of what we get from the other Silo was, made me chuckle. I'll get to that. But I really enjoyed this episode. I think there were some things that you called last time out that came to pass. And there were also some other shockers from this episode, and also get to see I won't call it a dark side. One of my favorite characters who I like, he definitely showed that he's not just a pushover this episode.
Oh, I know exactly. I had the same note.
A really key moment.
Yes.
No spoilers. I just hold the cup up. So I thought it was a standout episode. Probably I almost want to say one of the better ones of the season, but it's also one of those shows where I almost don't like. I don't rank each episode like it shows like Agatha. Like some episodes are great, some are bad. Whereas this is just kind of like on a steady going up trajectory, right? With the intensity. So long story short, I really enjoyed this episode. It just gave us a lot of moving the plot forward, and I'm tense for the next few episodes, but it's definitely all like steaming towards a hefty conclusion.
Yeah, no, I agree with you in terms of how this episode is driving the narrative forward that much more. There's a bit more gas on the pedal, so to speak, and it made me feel not so bad. In the past we've spoken about how we wanted more time with Juliet, but I think this episode did a good job there. We didn't get as much time with Juliet, but it still worked.
Yeah.
I think this is the first episode for me where it makes sense to spend more time in the main silo with those characters because we're finally moving.
Yeah.
Exactly. I didn't really miss Juliet as much. In fact, I was thinking to myself, I was like, that scene we get with Juliet.
I actually forgot her.
Right. I feel like the scene we got with Juliet could have been tacked on to last week's episode, and then we could have had no Juliet. I would have been fine.
But at the start of the next episode, exactly the same. But I also like that they did it, right? Because it was just enough to remind you.
Exactly. I was like, it's so small. It was such a small thing where it's like, even if I said what happened right now with Juliet, it's not really a spoiler because you could have guessed it from how last week's ended, right?
Not at all. No,
right. Yeah. But again, I say that as a good thing because it gives more time to people in the main silo, and we're moving with their narrative. We're not dilly-dallying and treading water.
Yeah.
Let's go into full spoilers right now. Let's get the Juliet stuff out of the way. I think because I feel like it's so brief. It ends what happens exactly what we thought after last week's episode. She wakes up, she's been helped by Solo. He makes his own. He makes his own antibiotics.
And
it's like
little chemist you.
So he didn't know it was going to work.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this deal he's made for her? He's essentially keeping her hostage, and it's like, you can't leave until you fix my shit. Your people could die any second now, but it doesn't matter because they could die any second.
But but I love that. Sorry, like I almost gained some respect for him because he's like, yeah, but I've seen your skills. By the way, before you go, I'm literally about to die in 3 months and I don't know how. So I save your life, you save my life. And she's like 10,000 to 1. He's like, I mean, they're dying now. Like, don't see it that way, right? Don't feel like you're gonna help them without helping me, right? And like I was like, listen, your choice. I mean, I'm not gonna force you.
But then, what do you think? How do you think that's going to affect Solo and Juliet's relationship? Because I feel like they were kind of getting closer, but this is going to be that thing that kind of like she's going to be like, well, you know what, you.
Yeah, and I think they're getting closer, but that whole "you're not solo" outburst he had
Hmm.
was already, I feel like she was already getting vibes of, okay, this is domestic abuse.
Hmm.
I don't like this anyway. So like I almost feel like he saved her with that knowledge of being like, anyway, whatever. Like our relationship is probably broken anyways. Also, again, seeing it from his point, he's literally gonna die, right? It's not fine, it may not be right now, but like 10 months isn't that short of a time, right? And he knows he has no chance without her. There's almost probably definitely nobody else is gonna come in after her, and they're probably not gonna be as good as her, right? He's literally seen her MacGyver a suit, go underwater, like do all these things. And again, he did save her life. You know, he did give her the idea for the organ, right? He gave her food before, so it's not like, I feel like it's not like he's been an ass this whole time, and then it's like, oh, help me. No, he's just more like, yeah, before you go, can I interest you in a new deal, a Honda Civic?
Hmm. The logic would be like, I'll help you go and get your people and save them, and then you can come back because we do have 10 months. And you can come back and help me out. I feel like she would have probably listened to that, but he obviously he's not necessarily in
But
the
like,
logical space right now.
yeah, he doesn't want to leave too, and like why? Truthfully, as him, like why go through that burden? I guess it's an interesting relationship they have, right? They're not like friends necessarily. They're just two people that were the only people in a space who, I guess, work together involuntarily, then voluntarily. And he's it's like seeing your opportunity and not taking it, right? And you're right.
Hmm.
Maybe you could have been nicer, but I don't feel like this is the kind of world where you can, make this kind of decision. It's not like, oh, David, I'll drive down to IKEA with you and help you get the furniture and come back home. It's like, I don't know, I'm going to make it outside. We don't have another suit. There's only one suit.
Hmm.
There are too many variables for him to be like, let me help you, then help me. It's like, no, no, you can go. But before you go, can I interest you, Lord and Savior?
Also, the variable, the fact that he's not exactly in of right mind, so to speak.
Mhm.
Right? So
Also that.
expecting logic. I feel
I'm a
like,
crazy man.
yeah, like even beyond his control, even at his on his best day, he's
Yeah,
not at 100% right now because everything he's
exactly.
gone through. Let's
So,
talk about the down deepers. The down deepers are mechanical. They get a victory this episode finally. Right. It starts off with their food getting poisoned. I'll get back
yeah.
to you on this one later in terms of
Yeah.
who do you think did the poisoning? Think on that. Think on that because it's
Okay.
mentioned that somebody amongst them. Obviously, it was the order was put out by Bernard, of course.
Yes, but
You know,
who?
he said there are 9 meals that stop people
Hmm.
from becoming. I forget the exact code word he says. 9 missed meals separate a functioning society from chaos.
Yeah. Sorry,
Ooh,
gotta pause. Sorry.
no
Ball
worries.
count. All right, back. Yes, 9 meals between.
Between separate a functioning society from chaos.
Uh-huh.
And then that's Bernard's kind of shutting down their supply of food. But of course, they're resourceful and they fight back and they're able to take 10 levels. I like it when Armisten's like, oh, they only took 10 levels. And he's like, and
He's
what are
like,
those
what's
10
on
levels?
122, you dumbass?
What did you think of the Down Deepers kind of revolution and their surprise attack to secretly to attack from the front but secretly
Front
come
and the
from below?
back.
Yes.
So
What did you
one,
think?
I think the plan was great. Like you said, I like that they didn't hold on to what they asked that guy in the down deep to make for them for too long. It
Yes,
was
yes.
all that kind of equipment. They
It's
got to that
weapons.
quickly, and then
Knox was prepared.
secondly, Knox is rare, but then you also mentioned, I think Shirley has grown on me and impressed me a little bit because she's
Agreed.
not as hot headed as I thought. She's not just like a rash, running. Because when she was like, "All right, fine, let's just call this the midway point." Cool, cool.
Mhm.
It's like, haha, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Because it feels like they're actually being strategic, right? They understand the force that they're coming against, and they're not just being like YOLO dolo, right? It's very
Mhm.
strategic, and so I loved when yeah, that whole like sawing the concrete to get up there was just a chef's kiss touch to it,
Mhm.
and even the whole even the beginning of the what I like is that it doesn't feel unrealistic. What I mean is when Knox and Shirley were talking to everybody downstairs and they were like, "Turn yourselves in, you bastards," and then
Will our
Martha
kids
came.
die for you?
Yeah, exactly. Which is very fair, right? Because I don't know you, but then I like Martha's speech because Martha's speech actually made sense. And then, that it was then coupled with the fact that they got some food. So it felt like if I was one of the people down in the down deep, that would actually convince me as well, right? I would be like, Okay, you know what? They are right, and we do have some food. You know what? It's kind of like now or never, right? So
Mhm.
I really like how it's now like the trifecta is Knox, Shirley, and Martha as like the heads of this revolution, right? But everybody still doesn't feel like a pushover or like a lackey, right? It's very much
Yes, yes.
like they've come to this decision of their own accord, and like the time is nigh. And you could even see, again, great acting from Bernard, but like you could see the stress growing in him
Mhm.
this
Mhm.
episode, right? Like each of his actions, he's just slowly getting a little bit more jittery, even with the whole Lucas thing, which I'm sure we'll get to. Like you could just see that everything they're doing is starting to have more of a greater effect. And I feel like he's being outsmarted a little bit more than he ever thought would happen, right? Like he's believed that he's been in control.
Mhm.
What do you even say? 140 years of stability, and now
Mhm.
it's all going to go crazy on my watch. Like you can see that they are succeeding, right? And I think that's both exciting, but it also gets me very worried for them because Bernard is the kind of person I feel like who would literally explode the entire silo with everyone in there, as
Mhm.
opposed to let them take it. Right? He feels like that kind of person. Like, all right, fine, kamikaze, let's all die. So the question is, how far will this revolution get without a mass amount of bloodshed, or is that going to
Mhm.
happen, or is Juliet going to come back in between?
Well, that's the thing with Bernard. I think his issue is that you saw that with his interactions with Meadows, where he's about following to the letter the book, right? And we don't stray from the book, no matter my personal feelings. I mean,
No
even
man, no matter.
you see that he's crying. He didn't want to kill Meadows, but
Mm,
because it feels that, well, because of certain actions, this is what I must do because this is what the order requires me to do. And when things go beyond that or outside of that, he doesn't know what to do. He's like, the order
yeah.
says, if I do this, this
Yeah.
will happen. If I
Yes.
blame mechanical, they will fall. And it's not
Yeah.
working the way I was supposed to.
Yeah.
What happens? And he's
Yeah.
freaking out. He
Yeah.
doesn't know what to do, you know? Whereas Meadows was the kind of judge was like, we don't have to follow the book to the letter. There's over
Yeah.
interpretation. We can pivot when we need to. And he can't fathom that. He would rather,
Yeah.
like we see again when he's crying over Meadows' corpse,
Met his
he would
body. Yeah.
rather, and we said this before, he's not doing any of this for his own happiness. He's not that villain
No.
that's like, I'm doing this
No.
for my things, right?
No.
He
Not
will
at all.
sacrifice his own happiness for
Yeah.
the book, right? Because he clearly felt sad over having to kill Meadows,
Met it. Yeah.
which, on a side note, I think he's going to do something to the Sims, man, the Sims family, because
Listen,
he's.
when he came up to Mrs. Sims, I love that exchange though. First, I feel like sorry, he was really impressed with her in that moment, and
Mhm.
also like, okay, I have to take you out because he was like, oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
you're smart.
He was
You're
like,
quoting the
he's like,
you're
it's a
quoting the rules at me, huh?
okay,
Oh.
okay. I see, I see. How did your husband feel about that? Huh? I bet he knew, didn't he? Didn't he?
Oh.
Didn't he? And she's like, yeah, he did. And he's like, of course,
Mm,
of course.
mm.
Okay, okay,
Okay, I
okay.
see you.
So,
I see
so
you.
I agree, but I don't know. It's one of those things where I still wonder. It's not like there are growing factions inside because you have Bernard. I feel like you have Sims and wife. You have the Down Deepers. You have Juliet outside, and then now you have Billings, who's
Mhm.
kind of I love what Billings said of like I'm not with you. I'm not with Bernard. I'm with the law, right? It's
Mhm.
like so. It's just interesting because now Bernard has to. I feel like before it was like him and Judicial versus
Mhm.
the underlings, right? Whereas now his enemies are both near and far,
Mhm.
and it's definitely too much for him to handle. But it's like a rat being chased into a corner, right?
Mhm.
He's gonna bite. He's not just gonna be like, oh, fine, I give up, guys. I literally feel like he'll go into that vault and like torch the entire place.
Mhm. We spoke about Knox and Shirley. and their bond. Well, their bond takes another step, right? I liked when Billings kind of walks in and catches them. They're like, "Oh, wasn't doing anything." But I love
Yeah.
Billings' reactions. Like, I don't care what you're doing. I'm here for
He's
something
like,
else. All right.
he's
Like,
like,
I don't give a
whatever,
shit.
man. Like, come on. If you want
Um,
some, get some.
Speaking of Bernard, I mentioned last week that I had a feeling Bernard would bring on Lucas as his shadow. And the reason I said it wasn't necessarily because of Bernard. It was because I felt Lucas was kind of being seduced by information. He felt
Yeah.
excited. You
Yeah.
even mentioned how last week where Lucas is like, "Oh, but I found something else. The letter."
Yeah.
You didn't have to give the extra information
At
to
all.
Bernard, right? You
Yeah.
weren't coerced into that information. So I feel like he's being seduced slowly into the information. Look how excited he got when Meadows told him about how the
The
Earth works and
stars
the
and the
solar
gas.
system and things like
Yeah.
that. And so I think he's seduced by that. So he is now the shadow. We spoke about Lucas's journey being an interesting one. Where do you think it goes from here? I feel like Lucas is going to become more of a central character, even like in future seasons.
I think so as well. I guess I'd be shocked if all this, or let me summarize that. I feel like he outlives Bernard, right? And he almost becomes like a non-crazy solo, in a
Mm,
sense. And by that I mean somebody who has all this knowledge. And the question is not going to be how does he disperse, what does he do with this knowledge?
mm,
I'm not sure the specifics, but the only caveat to that is if he was to not survive this show or this season, for sure it's Sims that kills him, right? Because I loved when
yes,
Sims
yes,
walked
yes, yeah.
in. It was like, what the
What the are you
what
doing here?
what and obviously it was clear to Sims that like he couldn't have broken in there, right? Like I guess Sims knew that was above him, right? I think it was clear.
Mm,
So there's this like growing rift between Sims and Bernard that I
mhm,
feel like each episode is just getting pushed and pushed and pushed. And so I do wonder, because if Lucas doesn't survive, 100% it's Sims that does the killings. But again, that aside, I'm curious to see, because he was figuring stuff out on his own accord, right?
mhm.
He's clearly a great mind, figuring
Mm.
things that shouldn't be known. I do love how quick Bernard was, though. Bernard's like, just whatever. Like,
He's such
okay,
an old
sir.
man the way he said it. Like, stand
Yeah,
up,
he
because
is.
everything has to be like by the book, right? So he had to.
Yeah,
I almost imagine him saying, if he was wearing a hat, take off your hat, clean your hair,
yeah,
straighten out.
yeah.
This is important. I'm going to sign you in right now.
So yeah, I'm curious. It would almost feel like a waste for him to gain that knowledge and not do anything with it,
Yeah,
almost.
yeah, kill him off already.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it feels like why. But again, I don't think this is not necessarily a linear show, but I just do see him becoming like a non-crazy solo.
Mm-mm. Which in a way could be scarier. I don't know. What's
This
scary?
is true. This is true.
I have no idea. As a computer guy, how excited were you watching the decoding parts and the whole Caesar shift cipher?
I was like, ooh, go, Lucas. Even you could tell Bernardo was impressed. Like, damn, you forgot. To be fair, I see why he made him a shadow, right? He's like, this dude is figuring this out with absolutely no backing and only the fear of the mind. Okay, yeah, you
Right.
know what? I'd love to see you with some knowledge. Like, just yeah, come on. Like, to be fair, who else can you trust at this point? So, like, yeah,
Right.
I'm very impressed with Lucas. He's a great hacker and top notch.
Let's talk about Billings and his narrative. First with Walker, he's trying to convince Walker, like, "Hey, I need your help to know what's happening." Walker's like, "What happened to my girl Carla? Until that happens, you can
Yeah,
I don't hear anything about
I ain't
it."
tell you nothing.
But we see, and you alluded to this earlier on, we see like a somewhat tougher, maybe darker side of Billings. When Patty's like, I know you've helped me out and give me all this, you've healed my bullet wound.
But I'm
I
feeling
know that,
woozy.
right? I know that I complained about using the doctor's shadow, and you actually brought me an actual doctor, went out of your way for that. But you know what? I don't feel like giving you information anymore.
And
Mm.
I love his reaction. He was like, "Okay, okay, could we please have the room?" I was like,
Everyone get out, please.
and I thought he was gonna do the like traditional like press the bullet wound,
Yes, yes, same,
But
same.
I feel like it was even worse than that when he did the chair. I was like,
Oh, sure. He's scary. Okay.
I too sat up, and I feel like that was the best threat. He's like, "Listen, I will call your
Judge.
abductor back. You will get
Judge
kidnapped again, and do
has
you
more
think you're gonna go
power.
through the same?" More power, more aggression, right? and even his demeanor, like everything, his acting, his like tenacity, and then
But the
I'm
quiet
skipping, but
talking.
yeah, and you could tell his wife was right. You could tell that the shivers are gone. This was not a shivering Billings. This was
Oh no,
a
a
staunch,
man
I
with
want to
focus,
uphold the law.
right? I have
Yeah.
focus. He has conviction.
And then I even feel like after what Walker told him the story, I was almost like, that it? Psh, whatever, bro. I was like, you're gonna hate to hear this. I mean, yeah, it's betrayal, but like he almost made it sound like your wife killed your first child.
Right.
It was bad, but like, calm down, bro. You should have just told him easier. Like, you just saved your life. Shut up.
But what I find, I find, I'm sorry for Patty, right? Because he thinks he has this like crazy secret. Like, do you know what I saw? I can't even describe
Yeah.
what I saw. And us, the
Yeah.
audience, are like, yeah, you saw a hologram. That's what you saw.
Yeah,
It
like,
wasn't real.
but fair enough. But like, yeah, calm down, bro. Sorry.
Like,
I wish I could tell you that what you saw is not what you saw.
like it's basically the same as Meadows looking at that VR headset. That's what you saw.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't, you weren't seeing
But
something
like,
live.
I mean, fair enough. Though. Imagine trying to explain, Apple Vision Pro to someone in the silo.
Like, but I'm saying for him, he believes what he saw is what's actually
was
outside.
real.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why he's like, it'll break your mind because that's what's outside. It's like, no, it looks as
actually
bad
not.
as the actual monitors are showing. That's a fake. All right. In fact, it'll blow your mind to realize that's fake.
Yeah, I actually hope he gets to live to see that it's fake because I need to see his reaction of like imagine they all get out of the silo and he's the first like running and he's like,
Where are the flying
guys,
creatures?
no, and then just starts choking and dies. Terrible.
I like the moment when Camille Sims is talking to her husband Robert, and he comes in, like after the scene where he's looking for like what the hell's everyone, he finds out some information about what the mechanicals planned to do. And
Yeah.
I love when she's like, there's nothing wrong with letting people suffer their own mistakes. What I like about her, she's so smart. But also you can tell she's doing everything she does is for her husband. Even sometimes he doesn't know, but I think that she has his back, right?
She does. She would take 2 bullets for him, like literally.
Yes. As long as he's in a place of power, when she's like, we could tell them that they're about to be attacked from below, or we could just let it go.
Yeah.
For them to figure it out by themselves because they're not listening to you. Huh. Right. And I like how smart she is when she's talking to Bernard earlier, where she's like, I knew from my time at judicial that vigilante justice is against the law and we all have to obey the law, right?
Right, Bernard?
Right, Bernard?
Bernard's like, he's like, I listen, his acting was great because you could just see him being like, okay, no, don't worry. Okay, I got you.
I see the subtext.
I got you.
I see what you're saying.
Good stuff. I'm gonna kill you next episode, but just good
we're
stuff.
in public now. Good thing we're in public. Okay. I can't say anything in public.
I'll come make some coffee in your house again later. I feel like everybody has individual anger, which I like. It's not like they're not all brainwashed by the idea of, oh, let's start a revolution because it's right. They're all just like, we're freaking hungry, man. Like, what is this? Like, I have kids.
Right.
Come on. So like that's the only reason why I kind of get it, and it's just nice to see that they're not all like zombies or like just blind followers.
But it's funny you say that because then again, it really adds to why Bernard is so upset. Because this is the plan. This is the way you do it. You do set something to kind of piss off the people mechanical, and then they revolt, and you say, like, see, mechanical crazy, and then everything's blamed on them, and then we rinse and repeat. But it's not happening this way this time. What the hell? It's happened like this for 140 years of stability, of blaming them for everything.
What's wrong?
We can get away with it. And what the hell? And even you understand how much power that is, because even the down deepers themselves start arguing, like you said, with Martha, telling them like this is exactly what they want. They want us fighting against each other.
Yeah, and when she was like, we don't fight for food, we share food.
Yeah, right. Like, exactly. We're mechanical. It's like we don't fight for food. We share.
But I hear you, girl.
I did love that she still that speech. People were like, yeah, but we don't care. And it was. Yeah. It's not like her speech didn't change people's minds. Her speech did nothing. Didn't. It was the food. Like
food. but I feel like the food without the speech wouldn't have gotten them all on the same page, right? I feel, and I think that's what I like about that encounter. Like they heard the speech and they're like, no. And they see the food and they're like, okay, fine. You're somebody who's kind of backing up your words with some action.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, you're right. I am a little unhappy. You're right. I do hate them upstairs. What else you got? Talk to me.
But then I do like that, the heads are mechanical, Knox, Shirley, and them. They're also aware that, okay, this is good, but once the food runs out, we're going to go back to where we were before. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to do
That's
something before the food runs out. Any other things? We have a nice moment reminding us that Dr. Nichols, Juliet's father, and Martha were friends. When she's like, "Don't come in here unless we're friends," and he's like, "I like to think we're still friends." It was a nice moment because again, it wasn't necessarily narratively driving, but it was a nice moment because he has never thanked her for for her
she
helping
did
Juliet.
for Juliet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the tape and everything like that. And it's interesting that
Hmm.
Martha still believes that Juliet's dead. It's like, no, she's dead. Like,
Yeah, I was a little shocked actually. I thought that was point she'd be like, "Don't worry, hold out some hope. She may be." She was
right?
like,
Nope.
I don't
No, she's
I
dead.
don't see how she's alive. I'm not gonna lie to you. Which, to be fair, I guess it's harder to give a parent hope, right?
Hmm.
It's easier to let them believe what they already believe, and worst case, you get surprised than for
Hmm.
you to be holding out hope that she is alive, and then you never get that closure. So like I hear it. I feel like it was almost like a mercy killing. Like, no, I don't. Like she said, I don't see how. Right? She
Hmm.
didn't say she's
Hmm.
definitely dead. She's just like, I mean, you tell me how if you can figure it out. I don't see it. I don't.
Any other moments that we haven't talked about that stood out to you? Because I think this episode had
Yes.
some like nice little moments as well.
Yep. Yes. The fact that I did not know that gobbledygook was a word. That surprised me when Bernard dropped that. I had to look it up, and I was pleasantly surprised. So yes, gobbledygook is a word.
We're recording this after the next episode is already aired, so this could be answered by the next episode. But I still want to like kind of theorize. Who do you think? Because obviously it was sent by Bernard, but is it? You don't have to tell me specifically who it is. But do you think it's a character that us, the audience, are going to recognize, or is it just going to be
I
someone
think
else that
so.
was okay?
I feel like it for dramatic effect. I feel like it would be a lot more punchy if it's somebody that we know and recognize. Um, just to kind of drive it home that like, oh my gosh, trust no one. It would almost feel like a waste if it was like, oh, it's that random woman over there in the corner. Like, okay, I mean, sorry, thanks. But the question is like, who would be so punchy? Like, I don't know. Imagine it was like Carla, for example, Martha's wife. I mean, I don't think it is, but like that, I feel like that would be like a proper like, oh shoot, like damn, like maybe they bribed her years ago. Maybe they have her child upstairs. I don't know, but I'm just gonna wager that it's somebody that we will be able to identify.
Well, I think it's safe to say, and it's not necessarily a crazy foresight. I think it's safe to say that whoever it is probably doing it under duress.
Yes,
I don't
for
think it will
sure.
be someone who's like doing it on purpose,
Like,
right? I
haha,
feel, yeah,
gotcha.
exactly. It's like if you don't do this, we're going to do this to
We're
you
gonna
or
kill
someone that you care
everybody.
about.
We're gonna,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. So I feel
like
like whoever's doing it's going
that's
to be
why I guess
revealed.
Carla. I could see them being like, we were watching Martha 24/7. We put a chip in her brain. I will
Yes,
push
yes.
this button and explode it unless you
If
help
you
us.
don't do this.
This,
So
yeah.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Anything else that stood out to you? We
Those
haven't
are all my
spoken.
notes. But yeah, like you said, it felt like the entire story got pushed forward this episode, which I really like. It wasn't just
Mhm.
like, one strand moves forward and the rest are behind. It felt like everything we saw was progressing, with Judicial, with Bernard, with Juliet and Solo, with Knox, Shirley, Martha, side characters, the student, his aunt, Sims' wife, just everybody, them taking up to the 120th floor. So I think it's really nicely primed for the next two episodes, because I'm expecting this same kind of pace leading up to the finale, and then hopefully we get a slightly longer finale where it just like blows our minds a little bit. But yeah, I thought this was a solid episode that built upon the entire season and is getting me excited.
Yeah, no, and we mentioned last week that this show has been greenlit for 2 more seasons, so they could pace themselves with some of the reveals. Hopefully, not stretching any storylines, but revealing
Yeah,
new storylines for us.
yeah,
Right? We hopefully get more by the end of the show. I'm still curious about when Juliet's going to join her silo. Now having a
yeah.
feeling it might not be till the last episode, penultimate at the earliest. But I just
Yeah.
hope it doesn't. They don't wait till like the very,
Stretch
very
to
end where
next
she just
season.
right, like the season ends with her opening the door, and then that's it. It ends like that. Like I
It,
can
it, it,
imagine.
it very well might. Imagine her opening the door and everybody just dead.
right? Cliffhanger ending of some kind where everyone's fighting and she walks and everyone just looks and everyone's like, who is that? She opens like, in silhouette, like, oh, Juliet
Yeah,
has
yeah,
arrived. And then everyone's
yeah,
like, oh, it's Juliet. And then it ends. I hope not. I
yeah,
don't want that.
yeah.
And I say that more, not necessarily as it's bad for the show, but more as in I like the show so much. I don't
Impatient.
want to be waiting.
Yeah, it's the
So,
impatience, right? It's
it's the
because
impatience.
the truth is like traditional wise that's as good of a cliffhanger as
Right.
most of them, right? Like I would almost do that if I was them. Like again, she walks in and then she sees them kill Knox, like type of thing. Like it's almost
Yeah.
like everybody stop shooting and Bernard is like no, and then
Right.
shoots Knox or him and Knox go over like Sherlock and Moriarty in the second Sherlock Holmes movie
Or
of Robert Downey Jr. Or
Or they could fake us out and someone shoots and Julia's like, wait, stop. And the person turns around and Julia's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
she shot and then she
He
drops.
shot.
End of season.
That'd be funny. And she wouldn't die, but she definitely be
No.
messed up.
Yes.
Or a third, just I mean, this is almost so impossible, but it would be so funny. She gets there and opens it, and it's the wrong silo.
Wrong silo. Dun, dun, dun. Like,
That-
oh
no,
shit.
I would totally do that. Like oh, you thought you were going right? No. You don't know. North is north and west is north. So that would just be so funny.
One of my favorite lines, just I like my quotes, when Knox is talking to the soldiers and he's like, you'll kill 10 of us, but we'll kill all of you
Kill all
and
of
take
you.
the stairs.
And
Like,
the soldier
oh,
is
so-
like,
So do you feel lucky? Do you
He's
feel
like, you know
lucky?
what? Let me go report that upstairs. I will be right back. I'm leaving active gunfire space.
And I did like the moment where Bernard was like, fuck me, I just lost the sheriff. You felt that fuck me. You felt it. He's like,
Even the way he was like immediately like, shut down the radio comm, shut it down.
right.
Like,
He knew what was
he didn't
happening.
waste any time, like no time whatsoever. And yeah, shout out Billings. I feel like he was the underspoken, like he's like an underspoken hero that's like really growing on me. It's like he doesn't often have a lot of screen time, but you can see that progression, and I love that he's been able to heal past his shakes. Which, sorry, on that note, I guessed wrong at first because when his wife was like, "Oh, are you still taking your herbs? You haven't taken them the past few days." I was like, "Oh my gosh, the herbs are making him sick."
Yeah.
And then
It's
she's
the
like,
opposite.
"Oh no, yeah, yeah, never mind.
You don't need
my
them
bad,
anymore.
My bad.
I think that's all the main stuff. I think we've checked everything out.
Yeah.
Look. Yes.
Good episode.
What do you nerdies think of this episode? What do you think of the season so far? And what are your expectations for the latter half of this season and going forward? Find us on social media at The Nerdy Bunch. You can also find us an email, thenerdybunchpodcast@gmail.com. We like to hear your thoughts and like to take recommendations for things that you might want us to check out and review. Also, wherever you are watching or listening to this, whatever platform you're using, please give us a thumbs up, a review, star, whatever they use. And please give us a comment because Andrew likes to read your comments.
Yes,
and
please.
maybe
And reply.
one of these days we'll start reading these comments out on the air. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, David.
My name's Dave, and this has been the Nerdy Bunch review for Silo Season 2, Episode 6. We're almost there, Andrew. And as always,
Just keep it nerdy.
peace.